Hey everybody, welcome once again. It's great to see you. We are here with the Any Key, a little bit parched, but so excited to talk shop with esports. This is the show where we discuss esports culture and news. I'm joined here with my fantastic guests, Tamir or Stragor. I just call you
Every
Stragor
time.
every time I say it.
Every time. Every time.
I say it every time, and it's gonna be like that until you make an easier name to say.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Um, and then
Deservedly.
absolutely. And I'm also joined here with Bear or
How's it
the
going,
Cyber
guys?
Bear. How are you? How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Good, good.
I think I'm a little
Um,
sick, but I don't know. I'm all right.
Sick of losing to me in StarCraft? I understand.
Yeah, okay. Do you want me to release the replays? Make that public?
It's like,
The shots so
uh,
quick.
it's
Those are.
okay. Use some cheesy strategy. It's fine.
Are you kidding me? You like a debt rush me like 3 games in a row, and I just knew.
You have to understand Draken is lactose intolerant, so
And then the other game, he like makes the sound of the unit that he's like building. So like, I knew what he was doing.
I did to my defense change the unit when I realized my mistake.
Yeah, but it still went air, and like I knew you were going air. So like,
Yes, that's true. That indeed happened. I did bait out my strategy. So guys, this episode is an awesome episode in the sense that we're trying something different. I shortened down the amount of topics to a little bit less. That makes sure that we can get to our guests right away. And plus, I think these are two bigger topics, so I think they're gonna take up the majority of the show. If I was to give this episode a theme, I'd call it esports investing because we have two topics to discuss that really much leans towards investing in esports and the companies that do them well and maybe some that not do it so good. Um, but before that, let's talk about critical update. What we got going on in news in ESChamp land. We do the solo queue tournament on October 17th, if I'm correct. Um, that's basically going to be, solo queue. These guys are going to be ranked up against each other. We'll be broadcasting it here on this channel. Um, Also, we are going to be doing EGLX in November. So, hooray, EGLX.
hooray.
How excited are you?
So enthusiastic.
Oh, I can sense it. Bear, you're excited to do.
I'm playing
Enthusiastic.
Clash of Clans the whole time. That and Candy Crush. You'll find me.
Oh my goodness.
Is there? No, I guess the Candy Crush is like an underground tournament hosted by
Honestly,
Bear,
they
probably.
did Candy Crush instead of Minecraft. It probably would have sold better, in my opinion.
Dude, I would wreck that.
Like, how is Minecraft competitive? Am I like missing something?
it's
Hey, you gotta start somewhere, okay?
You know what?
Whatever.
They're gonna do a build-a-thon, so it's gonna be the person that can build the biggest tower, possibly,
The
or
biggest tower, just stack the boxes.
I don't know. I've never played Minecraft. I'm probably the worst person to comment on it. That's
Yeah,
why
I have no clue.
no clue. But and I'm assuming Clash of Clans is gonna be in the same vein. Um, maybe it's gonna be the person who can build the most. I don't know.
SimCity wins.
Is that what Clash of Clans is? I've never booted up the game.
No, it's like it's closer like tower defense.
Oh, like the
It's
use map
basically a
settings?
TD, yeah.
Oh, crap. Well,
I don't think that the Minecraft is actually competitive though. From what I understand of it, it's basically like a cooperative build. It's not like you're not competing with other people so much as you're cooperating
Eh,
with other people.
I don't know. I've never understand the whole fact of people not competing. I think everyone should compete. That's life.
Well, no. Sorry, I'm probably phrasing that wrong. What I mean to say is like you're in groups and you have like a task to build something as fast as possible. Like
Oh,
like
so it's a competition just in a.
yes, it's like a team competition, like a race, right? Like it's the Amazing
Oh.
Race except with blocks and low pixel counts
You heard it here first, like the Amazing Race, but with blocks.
and low pixel count. Don't forget that. It's
Uh, uh,
important. It's true Minecraft style.
So also to let you guys know, this is the Aniki has moved timelines, so we are up a little bit earlier. This is to make do for some of the content of streaming we're gonna have following after the Aniki. This is gonna be it's pretty much its regular schedule, but just keep in mind you can always get it online on the YouTubes and the SoundCloud, soon iTunes.
The YouTubes.
The YouTubes. Them tubes that produce the U's.
Like the Googles.
The Googles. All right. Well, let's just jump right into it because we're behind. So we'll just jump right into it. The first story of the day. This is going to be interesting. So, esports team owner equals price gouger. So some people may have actually heard this news, like people who are non-esports may have heard this news, but I'm trying to remember his name. But pardon?
I was just gonna say I thought that he preferred the term drug lord, but I'm not.
Honestly, I could see why not? Right now, everyone sort of think he has this huge thing where people are calling him a supervillain. You know, possibly the next
Cruella DeVille.
Like, it's a pretty fitting name, but
okay. So I'm gonna try not to kill his name, but basically the story is Martin Shkreli. He's the founder and owner of Turning Pharmaceuticals, and he basically raised the price of a drug called Daraprim. And by the way, if anyone actually knows the names and stuff and I'm pronouncing it wrong, please don't skewer me. The drug used to cost $13.50. It now costs 750 cents per tablet. So he raised it by almost 5,000%, citing that the reason for doing that is for research and development purposes. So, you know, by now it's been trending on Twitter and everyone's been talking about it. So a lot of you may be asking, what does this have to do with esports? He also owns 2 teams in esports. For Team Imagine, which I believe is a Dota 2 team.
Yes.
And he owns... Oh, actually, sorry. Team Imagine has both Dota 2 and a League of Legends team. And that League of Legends team is currently up for Challenger. So it's one of these things where it's like, should Riot step in? Should they be like, you're a scumbag and shouldn't...
Big Brother Riot knows no bounds.
And I wanted to bring it to our show discussion is, you know, how much should his ethics in other businesses affect his ownership of teams? Right now, a lot of people are calling for a boycott. You know, they're saying that we should boycott the team. We shouldn't do anything that donate. Now, mind you, I want to make this very clear. He hasn't, in terms of his team ownerships, he's done. Did I say 750 cents? Sorry, $750. Correction, $750 per tablet, not 750 cents. Anyways, so the question is, you know, he hasn't done anything. I want to make this clear. He hasn't done anything with his teams that has been shady. You know, he hasn't sort of found for cheating. So his teams are above board, right?
Well, we don't know how much they're getting paid. It could be shady.
Oh, absolutely.
We just don't know.
Right now, the community is calling for a boycott. They're like, this team, you know, is owned by a scumbag, quote unquote, and we shouldn't be supporting them. But the other side of the argument is this team has done nothing. Like they just collect a paycheck from this guy and they just want to play. They have nothing to do with his ethics, but they're owned by him. So, you know, I put it up to you guys, or the discussion point is like, how much should he affect this team? And like, should there be some sort of outside intervention?
I'm going to say absolutely not. Like, definitely not from any of the game publishers or organizers or regulators or anything like that. I mean, unless we're gonna, like, if this guy owns a shoe company, are we gonna stop wearing his shoes too? Like, I'm just saying, like, what other industry does this? Like, this is only Reddit. This is Reddit at its best. This is skewers, pitchforks. This is
well, it's a true Reddit fashion. Where it is right now, they're calling up for blood. They're like, you know, this guy is a scumbag. Now, free market in many regards. Like, I'm sure someone will hate on me for this, but there's a level where it is free market, right? It's his business. It's his product.
Well, there's a different industry with other organizing bodies that should be handling this, is what I'm trying to say. Right?
Absolutely. It's completely true, right?
Like the pharmaceutical agency for controlling prices so that people don't swindle sick people,
like
industry organization.
From my understanding, he's not operating like outside the law when he's like everything he's
doing.
Technically,
everything he's doing is legal. Everything he's doing is indeed legal. Like, he's not doing anything that's like, but it does have a level of supervillain level of planning where You know, and it's obviously perspective. There's a level of where, because the drug is like 60 or something years old, and I guess the patent ran out, and then he like, you know, it has to be FDA approved. So now he's in this position where he has the advantage. I guess he has the FDA patent. I'll be honest. If anybody who is more knowledgeable on this can source it, absolutely. I only have bits and pieces and very limited knowledge of how these drug companies work. But from what I understand, is he has approval. He has the FDA approval, so he kind of has a slight monopoly in the sense that there's bureaucracy for anyone to challenge it, and it's really expensive to challenge it. So no one is inclined to make that jump because it's just expensive. So you know, this is a drug that a lot of people rely on in terms of for HIV and other sort of ailments. So, but should his team suffer? You know, should the community take a stance on him? Should they boycott it? And they're gonna do it anyways, regardless of what we think.
Yeah.
Obviously, but you know, part of it in my mind is like, you know, I don't think the team should suffer. I don't think it's you know, some people saying that the team should actually distance themselves from him. I don't know what your thoughts. Do you think the team should actually distance themselves from him?
Like, it would be up to either the players or the community as a whole to just choose not to support him. If
I don't know. I feel like the community
if they deem it's unjust. Like, I don't agree with what he's doing at all. But like,
you don't?
No.
Why? Why?
Why would you ridiculously increase the price of a drug? Like, there's no just.
He said R&D. Maybe it's to pay for the team.
Like, I read his reason was like, oh, we're not the most popular drug, so you know that's why. Like, it just costs this much. Like, it's kind of bull. I don't know.
If you have to pay for those Bugattis for the Dota team, that's
to deprive people of medication when they need it is pretty scummy. That being said, like, if anyone wants to like punish him for it, it's the community and like, or the players could choose to drop. But like, I don't think anyone's obligated to.
That being said, you also live in Canada where he's not depriving you anything. If anything, he's taxing the system, right? Like, it's people's tax dollars that are getting consumed for this, so you wouldn't have to pay for it regardless. But honestly, I'm not gonna take a stance against this guy or anything like that, because it's a dime a dozen. If you do any kind of digging into corporate villainy, it's everywhere. Like, he's not the first.
That was actually one of his responses. Like, I'm not the first person to do this.
He's not. He's not the first person today, for that matter. Like, this happens all the time. Like, in multiple industries. Like, the fact that he owns a couple of esports teams basically set Reddit on fire. Like,
well, that's what set Reddit. That's basically where the pitchforks in our gaming subreddits was, because obviously this actually made front page of Reddit proper, but it was the fact that he owns teams that makes that difference. Now, I don't know anything about Team Imagine. To me, I don't know if you can tell me any, like, what about their Dota? Is their Dota team popular, not so popular? Is this something they're gonna like?
They're one of the better teams in North America. They're formerly Team Leviathan. They got picked up by Imagine, which is his esports brand. But I mean, they're nothing to scoff at for sure. Like, you know, they do well for themselves here in North America. They're not like internationally renowned or anything like that. They're not a multi-billion-dollar brand. They're not EG. They're not Fnatic. They're not Mo Sports. They're not an empire by any means. But that's just speaking to their Dota. But like I said, it's not. You know, it's not even like he's trying to leverage this onto the esports side. He's not like, yet
that we know of yet.
Well, okay, I highly doubt that this drug is gonna pop up on the like Team Imagine stream. Okay, like Team Imagine sponsored by, you know,
Darafim.
Now
$750.
You know what I mean? He's a businessman and he's doing business. And while it's unethical, I completely agree that, you know, people shouldn't be just. The prices of medication shouldn't be changed on people that have been taking them for 60 years or whatever. Like you said, I don't believe that that's our department. And if you have a problem with what he's doing, take it up with the FDA. Go, you know, knock on some people's doors who can change policies and make it so that these drug prices can't just change on the whim of some CEO or somebody who bought up a patent or something like that. If you care about the sick people, then that's what you'll do. You won't raise your dongers against some guy who's trying to make a profit, just like any other businessman out there.
Any thoughts on that, Bear?
Yeah, like I agree with what Tamir's saying. I don't know if the esports side is like where you want to attack him, but like I don't think that's gonna get hurt in his bottom dollar.
Oh no, no, no.
It's kind of what we're getting at, and like, yes, I agree that that's business sense is just take as much money you can from other people, put it in your own pocket, but like, it still doesn't make it justified.
I actually want to make an interesting point that it's interesting to see that more and more esports teams are becoming sort of rich people's hobbies, if you think about it. And this is the same with sports teams. So this is, and I want to make a distinction, is that, you know, this is not the first rich guy who's like, I'm just gonna have my own pocket esports team, and
well, see, that's where it gets interesting, because like calling up like for action with the teams, it's like the only person that you're hurting is the players. Like, this guy doesn't care whether or not you boycott his team or not. He'll just drop them. He'll just, you know, it's just like, you guys don't like my team? All right, I'll let him go. Like, the only person that would end up suffering from this is the people on the team. So I mean, if like what your ultimate goal is to get the team sponsorship dropped, then I guess you could accomplish that by boycotting the team, but you're not going to hurt his bottom line. You're not going to motivate him to change by boycotting his hobbies.
Yeah.
You know, like Draken said, I highly doubt that this is a profitable organization for him that he's relying on for
absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is a side project. It's fun. He saw it. Could be glamorous. Maybe he likes a little bit of Dota. Maybe he likes a little bit of League, and he's like, you know what? I got 3.3 million just floating about. You, what are you doing over there? Come play esports for me.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
there. You know.
So ultimately, the people that are relying on him, like these Dota players, you know, I hope that they have a paycheck as part of their contract with this team. But
if they don't, then that's
who knows? I mean, like, it is a fairly small time esports organization, and shadier things have happened in Dota organizations. But the point still stands. If you really boycott the team, the only people that you're hurting are the players on the team.
Absolutely. So let's move on to a little bit more of in the same kind of line of
esports investments.
Esports investments. So this is fun, and this is actually a little bit close to home. Cineplex, and for those of you who don't know, Cineplex is the number one theater in Canada, probably the top theater in Canada. Has spent 15 million on esports. 10 of that going towards their investment of purchasing WorldGaming, and 5 of that towards their new, I want to say league, possibly a circuit. There's a little bit of details, but I'm not really sure if they've said what this really means. They're gonna basically be holding the events in their theaters, which is interesting because I assumed that they were going to just be doing viewing events, but that's not what they're doing. They're actually physically going to host these events. I don't know where, because I don't know if
party room. You never had a birthday at a Cineplex? I mean, you get dinner and a movie for your birthday? It's perfect. Now you just add in some esports.
So there's just 2 parts of this discussion, and one of them we're not going to touch on because it's neither here nor there. First part is, you know, a lot of people, and by people I mean the esports elites of our world, believe that this was a stupid investment. They felt that this was a dumb investment, that unfortunately Cineplex made an error in their acquisition, and they felt that it wasn't worth 15 million or 10 million. Sorry. And many of this speaks to the platform that they've purchased and the people that they've acquired, because it's all about assets acquired. It's all about Cineplex. It's like, we need assets. You know, we don't know anything about this esports. You know, let's buy some people who do. That's one part of the conversation. The second part of the conversation is, what does this mean for esports in Canada? What does this translate to? Like, what does Cineplex coming onto the scene and say, yo, everybody, we just dropped 15 million on this esports, you know, and Bell and Rogers like, what did you do? Right? So it's that kind of
discussion. What's going on over there?
What's going on over there? And that's the part I wanted to focus with us, is discuss that part. Is just, what does this mean for us in Canada? You know, granted, like, whether or not the actual investment of what they purchased was legitimate, that's neither here nor there. It's already bought. So that asset's already purchased. It's not like, you know, you can just take the receipt back and return it to Walmart. You gotta, you know, what does this mean? So what's anybody's thoughts on this purchase, this acquisition?
I think it's interesting. I like the idea of watching the eSports.
Would you go to a theater? Would you go to a theater to watch?
That's what I was thinking about this before the show. If it's just like a niche, if I just want to do it once, and then like never do it again, because like the whole esports like community is used to like sitting behind a monitor, like not paying for anything, like just.
Okay, but we go to live events though. We go to live events. We
go to live events, but there's the ticket price of a movie, and that's just beyond what most, like, they're already declining in sales because people are like, oh, I could just get it for free online, right? So I don't know if it's a niche thing or it'll be popular for a bit and then it'll kind of die off. That's my only concern. I think it's cool. Like I would pay my share and like go see it.
Okay, so would you currently, like, think about WCS? You went to WCS. Would you have gone to watch WCS in a Cineplex?
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't know if I would do it the second time. I would do it the first time.
You just for the novelty? You would just...
Yeah, for the novelty.
Now, someone had mentioned this. Someone mentioned this in chat. Like, you know, you can watch Opera, WWE pay-per-view, and now esports in theaters. So
I believe it was Oprah.
Oprah? No, it's Opera.
All right.
Oh, okay. Maybe both. Maybe you can watch both Oprah
Why
and
not
Opera.
both?
Why not both? Watch all the things. It's this level of the acquisition. In my eyes, this to me is like an attack on Rogers, and I'll tell you why. And for those who don't know, Rogers is Canada's largest telecoms. But if anybody knows anything about Rogers, Rogers is renowned for like owning content. They've bought like every sort of major team. They own like every venue. They own like pretty much anything that they can just like snatch up and call their own in terms of content, and it's all part of their play of having content in their midst. Cineplex is going and saying, well, we're going to go to this well first. We will have content before Rogers or Bell catches any wiser, right? And decides like, you know, this is one of the things.
That's what scares me.
You think so? Like that's
what scares me is if they're hosting the events and they say you can only see it in our theaters.
Well,
right? Like it's different if it's WCS, like that's Blizzard's hand, and ESL, however they want to coordinate it. But if they say, hey, we're hosting this big tournament, we're giving away $1 million, but you have to come watch it in theaters. That's where I don't like it.
Where else would you watch it though? There's no way they would put it anywhere else other than their theaters.
Obviously, like that's
what he's pointing out. Yeah.
So were you kind of hoping they would like host these big events and like put them out like in like another venue kind of thing?
What do you do if you don't have a Cineplex near you or you don't have a?
But everybody has a Cineplex. That's the thing. That's what they're touting. Like they're like everybody has a Cineplex near them. They're pretty ubiquitous, right? There's every major city, every rural, like most rural cities has a Cineplex. Whether it's a good one or a crappy Cineplex is questionable, but you have Cineplexes that have VIPs now. Right? Can you imagine watching WCS with, you know, bottle service and people bringing you crap from the concession stand?
Personally,
right?
No thank you.
One day, that's the dream.
No thank you, honestly.
Well, to me, you're kind of like, I think, the old man of esports. You like everything the original way, don't deviate, and kind of stay.
Look, I play Reborn.
You're like, oh, I changed a little bit out of the bubble.
No, it's not like that. It's just theaters take the social aspect out of watching esports. If you go to a football game, right, and you're watching it live, even if you're watching it live, everybody's cheering, everybody's enjoying it together. There's a crowd atmosphere and mentality where everybody doesn't have to be silent. You're not sitting in the dark where everybody keeps to themselves and just stares at a screen, right? And that's the problem with viewing events in theaters is that you're sitting down, right? You have to be quiet. You can't interact with the people beside you. Something amazing happens on screen. Sure, maybe everybody might cheer in the theater, but at the same time, it's like I said, you don't have the freedom to move, to get up, to like
isn't
really.
Isn't that like a stadium though? Isn't the stadium in the same thing, just outdoors? Like I personally have never been to an actual live sporting event, but I feel like isn't it just no different in terms of a venue? It's just inside a building.
It's different.
Really?
I would say watching a movie.
But you're not watching a movie. You're watching esports.
But yeah,
live
you're not watching a movie
in a movie theater.
Yeah, all I'm really trying to say is like in the movie theater. Okay, well, personally, I haven't been to too many esports events in theaters. I've been to a couple, and when I have been, you are kind of expected to stay on the quiet side. Like you're
Yes,
not.
yeah, I have had that experience with a viewing event as well. But I think that this is different than a viewing event. I feel like this is supposed to be, you know, the physical event is live at the theater. You can talk, you can like, and I don't think people are gonna not talk. I feel like no one's gonna not talk when they're at a movie theater, right? Like I mean, like when they're at this like a live esports event, I feel like it will change the atmosphere, if that makes sense. I think that the atmosphere won't necessarily stay like you're right. Theaters expect you to be quiet when you're watching a movie,
Well,
but I think like
assuming
a
that they
live
change that, assuming they change that, say they turn on the lights, for example, that immediately would, change the atmosphere. Assuming they do
Absolutely.
change the atmosphere in the theater, there's the other problem for me personally is that I don't like to be seated for the entire thing, right? Like, if you're at a bar or a pub where you'd normally go to watch a sports game, not a live sports game, um, you don't have the problem of like food and alcohol, which you do in a theater, and you don't have to be seated the entire time, which is
Yeah, but like
very important for the social interaction.
live sporting events must have a way to get like I can't really talk because I've never been to a live sporting event, but I can only assume that like this is a problem that they've obviously figured out. People interact and mingle and make memories all the time at a live sporting event and cheer with each
Absolutely.
other, paint
Yeah,
themselves
yeah.
in different colors, and
Yep.
obviously find ways to get to the concession, right? So
Yeah, so that's exactly what I was saying. Like those are my two obstacles that I challenged Cineplex to overcome as somebody who would like to see this happen. But I don't see them doing that. I don't feel the change from like, yeah, we're not just a cinema anymore. It's like we're still a cinema. We're just kind
I
of
see. I get, yeah. There's like it's
right.
like we're still a cinema, but now with esports in a cinema
Exactly.
Okay, so I can see that. It's
Exactly.
just you're thinking they're not gonna really change to like an actual like live esports venue kind of sporting venue. Um, my thing is, I was gonna say that what I think is the most important thing, and I want everyone to like. People need to stop looking at the whole Cineplex by WorldGaming and focus on the whole WorldGaming. What this is most important about this is what I've been toting from like day one. What Canada needs is infrastructure. Cineplex has now created infrastructure for esports in Canada, and what like for those who don't understand the inclination of infrastructure is a thing that makes people getting to an objective easier to do that objective on a daily basis. A road is considered infrastructure. ISPs are infrastructure. They let you access the internet faster than the days when we had dial-up, right? So these venues, or let's call them venues, are now all across Canada with the ability to host esports, and that's a level of which organizers may or may not get access to. That's a question, but either or, esports is now accessible from a physical live perspective all across the nation, with just a flip of a switch. Now, how Cineplex goes about that is going to be, a question mark. Is it going to be only Cineplex's esports events are allowed in here, or will IEM be able to broadcast across all of Cineplex's theaters simultaneously? Right. So these are kind of things that it's like, what does this mean in the future? Or is it, what's going to happen? But either or, if you think about, who I really think about, Gfinity. If anybody's familiar with the organization Gfinity in London, they have a partnership with the View Theater, and they run their live events out of that theater. There's a permanent esports venue. They build out half of it, and it's their production and everything is physically in that theater. And they bring the teams. They bring the teams over pretty much like every other weekend. They come over and have different. You have a COD one weekend. You have Halo or not Halo. Sorry, COD one weekend. You have CS:GO and StarCraft on a rotating kind of thing, and people are used to it. And I think that you get to get like just like you would know to go to the ACC to watch the Leafs. I think knowing that you could go to Yonge and Dundas, which is a street in Toronto, to watch, I don't know, let's say like IEM miniseries or something like that. It's kind of exciting. I think it's a really exciting thing, but you know, I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that.
I think that it could be great. I think it can be fantastic, but that's only because we don't have enough information. Like what makes it fantastic right now is that it's basically like 15 million and infrastructure. Once we hear some more of Cineplex's plans, maybe we won't think that it's so great.
obviously the harshest thing is if this doesn't work the way Cineplex originally, planned it, this could be also detrimental.
Well, what I'm worried about is that the way that they planned it is detrimental. Not so much that it doesn't work out the way they planned it, more just that the way that they planned it isn't so good. Just because we haven't gotten much information on it, right? We haven't gotten, and I mean, when we're speculating whether or not it's a good thing or not for esports in Canada, a lot of that comes down to what do they do with it, right? Like you said, if it's a failed venture, then it's not so good for esports in Canada. If it's hugely successful, then everybody's going to be looking, right? All eyes on Canada. But my point basically is if their plan isn't a good one, it could work out pretty poorly for the scene here in North America.
I always think it's fascinating, and this is maybe the elitist in me, and don't get me wrong, I am an elitist, where it is, people use the word like esports, and we've invested in esports, and then they throw Minecraft in there, and exactly. I'm just like, oh! So it's like, where are the esports, right? Yep. So I hate when people, I think, like I said, there's a bit of the elitist in me where I try to dig for when someone says esports, and I say, are you talking about esports? Are you talking about competitive gaming? Or are you talking about just gaming? Which one are you? Which one did you? Yeah, what did you just invest into? So I'm so frightened. This is the part that scares me the most. That Cineplex is like, we're here, everybody. We got esports. We want all the kids here, every kid here to play, and make sure you guys get yourself a new Minecraft and Minecraft competition or like FIFA. Okay, not to say I'm sure FIFA's actually pretty popular in Europe, but
but that's what I mean. Like it can be a huge problem just because I honestly find that misinformation or misguided allocation of resources is worse than lack of participation. If they just didn't do anything, if they were like, you know what, we're not getting into esports, it might actually have been better than they're like, yeah, we're gonna buy up this esports stuff. We'll do some like casual stuff for the 5 to 12-year-olds, and we got our esports rolling. We got our esports on. It's happening.
Here it is though. I want to put this clear. I'm not against like 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds playing competitively. Actually, you know what I think the next big venture will be? Someone will make an esports camp. I don't know who. Someone will. But
China
already has already a thing.
Is that a thing? Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't think anyone's made an esports camp. Like a camp, you come in and you just...
You can major in university in Dota 2. You can take a 4-year university course in Dota. You want to tell me that they don't have an esports camp?
Maybe.
Every Korean team house is an esports camp. What are you talking about?
No, I mean like a camp that you can take
like a summer camp.
Like a summer camp. You pay $120, you drop off Johnny, and you leave him until pick him up in September.
We'll do it. We'll run that next year, next summer.
I have no doubt that exists somewhere where you can send your kids to play video games and get better at them over the summer. It
not just to play though. I mean like to create new champions in North America. Like
same like hockey camp. They make new drills.
Are you talking about like a boarding school, or are you talking about a fun camp? Like which one?
like a day camp. Like you drop off your kid, you like have activities for them all day, like the practice in the morning, scrimmage.
Not like scrimmage, like real structured stuff. Like drop.
It's all structured.
So that's different. That's not so much like a daycare. That's not like a day camp.
No, I'm talking about a camp,
or like a summer camp.
An esports.
Yeah,
camp.
this is
Drop off Johnny. Johnny learns how to support and how to play mid, and then he comes home for the evening, talks about it during dinner, and then suddenly tomorrow he learns how to play.
You're basically talking about like the Disney Club. This is what it is, right? It's the Disney Club for esports. That's what this is. It's where all the upcoming stars go when they're young to hone their talent.
I'm telling you, it's coming. It's gonna. I don't know when, but someone needs to make it. If it hasn't been made already,
summer.
Yeah, honestly,
I'm pretty sure it exists.
I'll buy
it exists.
All right. Anyways, that's the next thing that needs to come in. My body is ready. When I have a kid, I'm just gonna leave him there, come pick him up in the afternoon, and then I'll be like, Johnny, what did you learn today? And he'll be like, today I learned how to support. No, he won't. My kid will never learn Hearthstone. No kid of mine will ever pick up that game or Heroes of the Storm. Not in this family. We're not Heroes of the Storm.
Don't send him to my camp. I'm gonna teach him Hearthstone.
We're not a Heroes casual, only hardcore.
Well, no, I
gamers.
mean you would never. We called it an eSports camp, not a tabletop fun game camp.
Not an RNG camp.
Yeah. Well, like, come on,
Competitive
no,
rolling dice.
Oh, but seriously though, no. But like you think about it, like this little league camps and shit are crap for like kids to play in hockey and stuff, pee-wee leagues and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we're looking at. At Cineplex, maybe I don't know.
Well, in that
only...
case, the Cineplex has nothing to do with it. To be fair, if that's what they're doing, then the infrastructure of theaters, very little to do with it. That's why I was saying, like, I would like to see Cineplex make a transition into esports, not just like, hey, yeah, we're still a theater, you know, we still sell popcorn and put on movies. We also kind of do esports. If they're like, no, we do esports, like, you know what I mean? Like, we're gonna host online qualifiers. We're gonna
I think it's gonna be the first one.
Big invitational tournaments that are gonna be, you know, put up on our stages because they have plenty of stages and plenty of seating, right? But I think it's gonna be.
I think it's gonna be the former. I think it's gonna be they're gonna just like, we're a theater, but you can also bring your kids and play, you know, Minecraft on a Friday, and we'll give out gift cards for them. You know, and
you want a birthday party? We can do an esports birthday party, no problem. Like, that's
that esports birthday party.
That's what I'm worried about. That's what I think is going to be the case. But it's also what worries me, because if that is the case, then you know what? Nobody's putting 15 million into esports in North America anytime soon.
Yeah.
All right, so let's make underway. We've complained and crapped about this enough, and I love this is I love talking about this. It's so interesting speculating on what's gonna happen with Cineplex. Like I am afraid, but let's see what happens. Let's transition into our guest, a person who I only recently ran into, but apparently I've seen quite a few times. Tabin Ahmed panic switched. Come on down. Price is right. Welcome.
Hello there, sir.
Hey, Tabin, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Well, I'm so glad you. Oh,
before you butcher my name, it's actually Tabin, but close enough.
Wow. Rip.
Right.
Well, for the purpose of this show, you will be now Tabin.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Nope.
Okay, well, Tabin, tell us. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being on the Any Key. I appreciate it. You know what? Before I butcher what you do, I want you to explain what you do, because I probably am going to screw it up. I have a good idea, but I think you're going to be the best person to explain what you do.
Fair enough. I do a couple of things. Mainly, it's helping out streamers on Twitch. It's not necessarily just esports streamers, it's streamers in general. I do have a slant mainly towards the StarCraft scene. So I help out a lot of used to help out a lot of streamers in StarCraft. I've now branched out. I have a client or two in League of Legends and a couple others across just Let's Players. Now, what that actually means is I don't actually do a lot of the work for them, based on professional experience I have from my day career and what I usually do. I sort of help a lot of streamers kind of manage themselves, manage their business, and kind of also manage their brand. To kind of see streaming as a career path as opposed to just something that they do and they play games. It kind of gives some structure to it. So the end goal for me is that within a year or 2 or 3 years, they shouldn't need someone like me. They should be able to kind of do it all themselves and kind of manage what they do. And hopefully make money out of it.
So essentially, you help them build their brands on Twitch as a streamer, you know, to become sustainable.
Yes, exactly. You know, take something that might be a hobby, you know, if they're interested in trying to do it full time and they've shown some level of potential, we go and, you know, we work out a plan, try to build up their viewer counts, how they can go about doing it, and then, you know, make sure that it's something that, you know, they'll make enough money that they can support themselves.
So who have you already done this for or with, or, you know,
yes.
past?
Notable clients would be Nathanius and Miss Spite. They are my original 2 clients.
So Nathanius, the StarCraft.
The WCS caster. We found him when he had 8 viewers. Miss Spite, who's now retired, she's actually out in Germany doing game development and a couple other things. But she was relatively popular in the StarCraft scene about a year or two ago. My current clients are Livy B and then an unnamed League streamer who's doing fairly well, but requested an NDA clause. So,
oh, did you say an unnamed League streamer, like hidden person?
Yeah, he didn't want.
Oh, okay.
He didn't want it listed, so I I charged him a little extra, but that works out.
A hidden streamer.
Yes, yes, and then I've worked with a couple of other streaming groups here and there. The O Team streamers I've worked a little bit with, but not much recently. So I kind of pop in and out. My consistent client right now, I would say, is Livy B and the unnamed League streamer.
So do you find players and entertainers, I guess, do you find that they have, when they're first starting, they're a bit oblivious of what they need to do? Do you find that, or do they generally have a concept and you just kind of help them along? What's the state you find them in?
It really depends on the person. One of the original people that I worked with before I actually did anything formal was actually Maximus Black.
Maximus.
Yes. So he knows his business really well. He knows what he wants. I actually learned a lot about streaming from him, and I took a lot of my corporate experience and my contract experience, and I was like, we can apply this to all this other streaming stuff, and if you put it together, you can come up with something pretty successful. And then Jeff, or Maximus Black, kind of took that on his own, and he ran with it. And I saw potential in that approach. So that's when I went out and started looking for other potential candidates who could use that. Nathanius and Miss Spite were the original two. And then after that, I've moved on to other clients. But to answer your original question, how do I find streamers usually? There's a couple of common trends I've seen. One is that they work way too hard, but they do not work smart. So the key example will be you'll find a lot of early on streamers who are super excited and who decided that they kind of want to make this career. They'll do a lot of 24-hour streams. They'll stream for 7 days in a row constantly. They'll stream for 16, 17 hours a day, and they'll just keep going at it.
Is that not the answer?
That's very common, and it's totally I've found it's totally the wrong answer, because what'll happen is after a couple of weeks of that, you're going to see that you don't have much growth, mostly because you're going to become very inconsistent. If you're streaming 17 hours and then you have stuff you need to do, you have to run errands and you have to actually deal with your life and stuff, your stream is going to be all over the place. You're going to be running it sometimes late at night, sometimes early in the morning, sometimes in the middle of the day. So one of the first things that I do when I start working with a streamer is tell them, pick a number of hours that you're comfortable streaming. They'll usually say 12. I'll be like, all right, we're going to go with 8. And it starts from there. It's kind of, again, I've come up with a couple of very cheesy consultant-y type sets. So the first thing is manage yourself. And there are 3 P's for that. It's manage your person, manage your presence, and manage your pipeline.
Oh my!
I have this down to a science. I've been doing this for a couple of years now. So when it comes to managing your person, it's stuff like time management, your work-life balance. If you treat your stream as a job, then you should set your hours. So you're going to say, I'm going to stream from this number of days a week. I'm going to stream these hours. You want to make it so that your viewers and your fan base, and this is huge, you want to make it so that they can set their clock by you. If they know that you're going to be streaming at this time, they can be like, okay, I don't have anything I'm going to be doing. I want to tune in and watch that stream. So that's kind of what you want to be targeting. With time management, it's if you have your stream in a set schedule, you need to say, I need to get all this other stuff done during the day. So you have to set aside time to get cleaned up, possibly take a shower, go out, get food,
possibly
do all your life things. I'm hoping, and all those other things that you have to do with your life. You have to manage that. A lot of streamers early on, they don't. They'll just kind of roll around and take care of things as they come up. They don't really plan, and that causes a lot of issues. So those are that's the first thing I try to address with a lot of streamers, especially if they want to make it their career, is manage their work-life balance and manage their time better. And then, that comes down to also making sure you get your breaks. If you set yourself on 8 hours a day, that gives you enough time to get some sleep. That gives you enough time to go out and do other things so that for a long-term run of, if you want to do this for, years, you don't get bored. You have other things in your life that you're doing.
Okay, so by the way, anybody in the audience in the chat who's currently watching this on Twitch, feel free to throw questions in the chat.
Yes.
And we'll add this into the overall show here so that everyone can hear it. Also, to my co-host, feel free to jump in and also ask questions as well. Don't feel like I'm the only one that needs to grill our guests, by the way. So actually, before I have a couple other questions, but I actually want to see if any of my co-hosts want to ask something.
You know what? I'll go ahead and ask. What would be your top 3? Because I know people love lists, but top 3 things that say you come in and some absurdly high percentage of your clients are doing wrong.
The scheduling is the number one thing. Every single client I've had I'm going to say about 10 clients who use me regularly over the course of 5 years. 15, maybe a little bit less. Every single one of them has had the time management thing just completely wrong. And that's not even by my standards. It's just by standards of being sustainable. Out of a lot of those clients who never actually got the time management thing down, they more or less are done streaming. They've moved on to other points because the main thing is we're too stressed out, we're too tired. That's kind of a big one. It causes burnout in the long run. Number 2 is not understanding their business. And when I say business, I don't mean the industry or something in general. I mean very specifically, when you're conducting your stream, you're collecting donations, you're collecting income. If you truly understand your business, you should know those things offhand. You should have an idea on how much you pull in on average per day, what your average viewer counts are, what your metrics are overall, how you measure your success for your business. So that's a big one. That's kind of the one that I tackle second. Once I kind of address the person, I then go, all right, let's talk about your stream. Let's go there. And then we talk about the metrics. I say ideally after 6 months of working with me, I shouldn't have to look at your metrics. You should be able to look at them and start coming to conclusions and analyzing them. I actually have a massive spreadsheet that I've created that lets my clients track all of these wonderful things. And then the third thing is the social media. I'm surprised at initially how poor a lot of starting streamers are with social media. They don't really give it the credit it's due for kind of building their fan base. A lot of them, I tend to have to be you haven't posted in a couple of days on Twitter, you're not having any variety, you're not engaging with your fans. You only gained 5 Facebook likes on your last stream. Why is that? It's kind of a lot of those things to leverage how you get your message out. So social media is a really big one that I kind of try to push with the streamers. But again, I kind of tackle that one with the brand, the third part. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like that. Like you said, manage your time, manage your business, manage your social media.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
I want to ask you, how often do you find that you need to tell the streamers, you need to tell them how to behave or how to conduct themselves to pull in the fan base and keep that in, just personality issues?
So I've actually, my original clients, earlier on, I was half psychiatrist, half therapist, whatever. Yeah. And then, all the other stuff. And early on, I used to do a lot more work than I actually do now. I mean, I've actually found taking a hands-off approach and being a little bit stricter with my clients has worked wonders. It's very much a case of, I think you guys will probably get a kick out of this. My number one rule for how you conduct yourself is I call it the destiny rule. If it's something Destiny would do, don't do it. And then the follow up to that is, if you think it's a good idea to get into some kind of Twitter type war with Destiny, don't. You've already lost. It's very. I take the take the high road approach. Kind of act with integrity. If you're getting really frustrated or if you're getting annoyed or you feel like you're, not going to be putting on a quality stream, there's nothing wrong with, taking a break, switching it up to something else, find other things to stream, or, just call it a day and, just take it for what it is, get your head right, move on, It's much better to stream for 4 hours where you keep a positive mindset than it is to stream the full 8 hours where your last 2 to 3 hours, you're being hostile to your fan base or you're being hostile to the community. And, you can see that with a lot of streamers. If they go on tilt or if they get really frustrated, they start getting, they start attacking people in chat. It gets bad. So I'm very much of the, it's always okay to take a break and calm down, take the high road, don't say anything that you wouldn't want repeated back at you.
Now, what about some of the people who build their brands on like being on tilt against people? And you obviously touched on Destiny being a, but you worked at Maximus Black, and they have a brand that is, it's based on those kind of things where it's some a bit cheesy, a bit like aggressive.
They have very different structures. The other big part I say is when you're streaming, you kind of have to have two separate personalities. One where so that you can kind of separate yourself. The second personality should be a reflection of you, and it should be as close to you as possible, but it should be a little bit over the top. A person's standard personality is usually not that entertaining. No offense to anyone. It's just true. Maximus Black is a perfect. Yeah, Maximus Black is a perfect example. In person, he is very much like he is on stream, but just on stream, he just, dials it up a bit more, because again, that's where the entertainment factor is. You kind of have to be true to yourself, but you kind of have to play up the entertaining aspects of your personality. If you're a sarcastic person, by all means, be sarcastic. If you're aggressive, be aggressive. I have a lot of respect for Destiny because he's kind of one of the original professional streamers. He's done a lot with his brand. He's done a lot with himself. And yeah, he might be abrasive and it might not be my style, but if that's what gets him, if that's like his personality, go for it. Again, it does have impacts for other parts of your, your brand and your business that you have to take into account. For example, Destiny can't get certain sponsors, which another streamer might. It's all about a balancing act. It's like you have a bunch of different sliders. If you take your brand and you go super aggressive, yeah, your business might have to go back a little bit for other reasons. So, again, my management style is very much saying be true to yourself, but you do have to have a separate personality for your stream in the sense that you're going to be entertaining.
This brought up in chat. What are your thoughts on the generic dumb girl gamer streams that have arisen over the past year? Like the entertainment value, I guess. Do you ever,
as a business person, as a business and marketing, mad props for them, but from a personal level, I have very little respect for that behavior. But okay. I understand why they do it.
Even though it's like an act most of the time. Most of the time, it's all like kind of like a.
Personally, I would not sign any one of them as a client for me. One of the big things is I don't like streamers don't come to me and sign me. It's very much I pick my clients. So
ooh, very Don Draper of you.
It's a way I do. It's a way I manage demand because again, demand for me is a lot lower now because I'm not as public. I'm not as much out there. But a couple of years ago, I had a lot of requests and a lot of time, and it just there's only so much. Like I have a very hands-on approach early on, so it takes a lot of time. But then as it goes on, it becomes less and less. So I very much would pick my own clients. So in Master Dolph's case, I'm not a huge fan of that particular genre of streamers.
So what do you look for when you're finding a client? Do you just scour the Twitch?
So I actually can tell a story about how we found Livy B. I have a business partner who's inactive at the moment, but he would also find a lot of different streamers. My system is a lot more refined and scientific. I can usually watch about 5 or 6 streams at the same time, so I would have 5 or 6 or more streams up on my screen at the same time, and I give each streamer, if I'm literally in I was looking for more clients mode, each streamer gets 5 minutes. I will watch their stream for 5 minutes. I will watch the chat. I will listen to what they're saying, and then I will move on. If they haven't done something to engage the audience or me or something that's interesting in those 5 minutes, I will move on and pick up another streamer. It's a very big thing because again, you can tell a lot from a streamer from 5 minutes of watching them. It's just looking at things like their overlays, how they're interacting with chat. Like if you have a person who's playing for 5 minutes straight and they have not said one word, that's not a great thing. Especially if you're looking for like an entertaining personality. You're looking
that seems
for
like a pro player kind of thing.
Yeah, if you're looking for a pro player, if it's like a pro player game, and again for something like StarCraft or League, I understand when it's intense. If I see that it's like a huge team fight and they're just like completely focused, or if it's StarCraft and it's a huge engagement and they're completely focused, I won't. I'll give them an extra couple of minutes. I want to see what happens. I might wait until the end of the game and kind of see what happens. It's a lot of those cues like that I look for. The big thing is kind of the personality and engagement and kind of what they've done with their stream overlays or branding and putting it together. If they've made some strides and it's not just like camera, game, and there's something else going on, they have like their Twitch bio, I might start looking a bit more and might approach them. In the case of Libby, I can actually use that as an example. My client, my business partner said, "Oh, you should check out this streamer." This was, I think, in 2013. And I went to watch. Unfortunately, Livy wasn't streaming. Her sister was at the time. So I watched that stream for about 5 minutes, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's not really super interesting for me. And we moved on. About a year later, I stumbled into Livy's stream again, and I'm like, I was looking over my notes, and I'm like, this does not mesh up with my notes at all. This is like a completely different stream. And I was like, I was intrigued at that point. So, I had a conversation with Livy, and then we went back and forth for a little bit, and then we found out what actually happened. So it was that was actually one of the later reasons why Livy B had a branding change and switched her channel to her own channel, is for branding purposes, so that you don't avoid confusion on two people on the same channel.
Wait, they shared the channel?
They had a channel called The B Duck, and then they switched over to Livy B. Livy switched over to Livy B for branding.
Okay, that poses to be an interesting question. So I actually have two. So the first one is, how long do you think it takes someone from creating a brand new Twitch account to suddenly enough money to be doing it full time? What would you say on average someone looking at if they do what you're saying properly? They do like
that's the thing. It's not I don't have like a process for like that works for everyone.
Oh, you're not like a guru? Damn.
I'm not a guru. Like I don't tell someone how to stream. Like the big thing is like when I look for clients, I look for someone who we'll talk about managing your brand. It's the message, the marks, and the moments. The 3 M's. So the message is, what you want to convey. It's got to be something simple, universal, and it can't be just like something specific to one game. Like it's got to be something that you can attract other people with. The marks are, do you have something that's yours? Like in Livy's case, she's got the B-ball logo, and then she's got like the whole honeycomb thing going on, and that kind of carries through her Twitter, through her overlays.
Kind of like a gimmick kind of thing?
Yeah, a little bit like a gimmick. The Fellowship of the Bouses for Maximus Black, the Panda Tribe for Desro. Those would be like marks. And then
yeah, that guy's being a mark. God.
Yeah. Arguably the most important thing, though, is the moments. Those are the times where you expose your brand to your community. So, like, that's any time you're mentioning your social media. That's any time you're engaging with your fans, talking about, like, why someone should be subscribing to you. Like, giving people, like, adequate number of times to engage with your brand. So, like, that's one of the big things I say. Like, after every game, you might want to say, oh, hey, follow me on Twitter. You'll stagger, like, which social medias you kind of mention throughout the stream. So you constantly give those moments for, someone who might have just, again, comes back to the 5 minutes where I watch a stream for 5 minutes. I'm kind of looking for, do they mention their social media? Do they mention the things? Someone's going to come in and watch the stream. If you don't mention it, not necessarily every 5 minutes, but within some window of time that someone's watching you and they leave, they're gone. They might not come back. So you kind of want to give people reasons to engage with you.
Okay, so I have one last question. So Do you think
Mhm.
it's better for a streamer to do one game or a plethora of games, or does it matter?
It does and it doesn't. It really depends on the genre and the game. Like, for example, one of my previous clients was a Let's Play streamer. Plays all sorts of games all the time. That one, your branding become and your personality become huge because you don't have a single game that's going to draw your crowd in. You need to pretty much sell your personality. Like, why is someone going to come watch you over someone else when they're playing a new game? If you're playing a single game, your personality can go down, or your personality becomes slightly less important, as long as you can either leverage skill in the game or you have something that really distinguishes you from the other people in your game. For StarCraft, for example, the big thing I say, if you're playing StarCraft, you need to do one of two things. You need to decide if you're going to be a pro player or if you're going to have like personality. In general, if you have a lot of skill and you're going for the pro player slant, it's really hard to have your personality fully on while you're playing. So if you're trying to sell your game and your stream on skill, you're not going to be as skillful. If you're super entertaining, like Maximus Black style, like when you're playing StarCraft, where you're over the top, you're singing and you're doing all of that other stuff, sell the personality while you're, in your niche of your game. So it kind of goes both ways.
Okay, well, I'm pretty much out of questions. What about anybody else here on our panel of guests?
Well,
Hosts?
that's what you touched on my last question. I was going to ask how often do you find you're working with educational streamers versus pro streamers, but I guess you...
That's a conversation I usually have. I had it with the StarCraft players a lot. I actually had it with all of my StarCraft clients. All of them tried originally to be fully competitive while having an entertaining stream. And I say that works initially, but once you get to a certain skill level, you're gonna hit a brick wall, and you need to be like supremely special if you want to overcome that. And I'm very blunt, and I say 9 times out of 10, you're not that special. I'm sorry. Like, you have to make a decision on if you're going to focus on your competitive play or if you're going to focus on your stream. Because if you're focusing on your competitive play, you're focusing on getting good enough so that you can go to tournaments and win, and your tournament wins, and that will conjure your fan base, which will then watch you stream and help you make money that way. If you're an entertainment streamer, you're straight up going for subscribers, donations, Patreon, merchandising. You're going for all of that, so you need to have an entertaining stream.
The whole big.
Oh yeah, I personally say, if you have the personality for it, being an entertainment streamer who's good at a game is actually not a bad way to make a living. Like, as long as you have a diverse stream of income that's not just donations, where you're getting advertising revenue and sub revenue, where you have Patreon revenue coming in and you're giving something in exchange. There's merchandising and like sponsorships or jobs for like casting and stuff. You can do pretty well.
Oh, that's awesome. Anyone have any last points?
Yeah, actually, I was just gonna say, like, what's your absolute like worst? Don't ever do this on stream.
Absolutely worst. Don't ever do
Not
this.
like, sorry, I don't mean to ask about the really obvious stuff. I just mean like maybe I'm asking for an example, I should say, of something that you were just like, wow, I can't believe that you actually thought that this was a good idea to do on stream.
I would prefer not to answer that question. I've had a couple of those happen where I've actually had a case. I dropped one of my lesser known clients for doing something on stream. And I was just like, I literally can't believe you just did that. I completely,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
but I mean,
all right. So
Yeah.
maybe not the worst. Maybe not the worst one. Just like an entertaining example, if you have any.
I mean, I would go with Destiny as an example. His language sometimes gets really divisive. Yeah. I try to say keep the language within reason, because you never know who's going to be in chat. You might have a potential sponsor in chat. And the other big one is, if your stream chat is going like, there are days where stream chat can be ridiculous. Like, they're actively trying to aggravate you. I've had streamers actually like go in and start going on like rampages, like calling out people, like actually like calling them names and stuff, and like getting really hostile. I'd be like, yeah, big thing is don't get hostile towards your stream chat. If it's getting really bad, don't engage with them, for a little bit. Give them a little break, put it in sub mode or whatever, or just close the chat and do your thing. And just engage in a general sense, like, hey, talk about things that you're doing in the game, talk about the game itself, talk about your social media, kind of indirectly engage your audience without actually talking to specific people in chat.
Okay.
That kind of makes sense?
Yeah,
Absolutely. So last thing before we end this segment, if you were to give some advice to us and our show, what would you do? Let's say we're one of your clients. What would you give us in terms of feedback?
That's a good question. I should have thought about that one beforehand. I mean, that's
Give
the
us a
thing.
free
Like,
session.
for example, I see you guys have 9 viewers. I feel like for what, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like there's a lot that you can be doing to kind of get your name out there a bit more. Like, I'm not sure what your marketing is outside of Twitter, but for a show like this where you get people on, you should be getting more than 9 viewers from my perspective. So,
Oh, you're
if
telling
you want,
me?
we can, yeah, we can talk about it a bit more in detail, off stream as well. But on stream, I would say, I like the overlays and the branding, but I feel like it's not resonating with people to draw them in. I think you guys need to get out there and kind of do a little bit more social media advertising or something, to draw people in. Work with other streamers, like get popular streamers on your show. For example, get a Maximus Black or get someone on the show to talk about it, and then bring their viewer base in. Because if they say, "Hey, I'm on your stream for an hour," and they bring their viewer base in to watch, that's a lot of people who might come in for another show later on.
So what you're saying is we need popular people.
Not even popular people. Like you have people like me. Again, I'm not that big. But if you get if you get more. Like, I know you're trying to talk about the business side of things. If you bring streamers on and you talk to them about, the industry or the business side of things, as opposed to just like, the standard puff piece interview, that could work for you. Again, you're talking about streaming and esports. You have a wide berth of guests that you can bring on or try to bring on, and, bring their fan bases with them to kind of, capture a little bit for yourself.
that's why we brought Bear on. But
Bear, you killed us. Where was all your popularity? You were supposed to be you were supposed to be our secret weapon.
There was 10,000 streamers 3 a.m. no problem. 10,000 viewers all the time.
No problem.
As soon as he came over here, just
easy peasy, and it all died. Well, that was him. It was all that streaming of Tinder. It's all that Tinder streaming that just killed all the viewership. So thanks so much, Tabin, for being a guest on our show. Really appreciate it, and teaching us about how to turn your streaming into a real thing.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys. So let's switch it off to final thoughts before we end our show. We had a lot of fun talking about some very interesting things. There's only 2 topics, so this final thought will be really quick. So final thought, guys, on drug mogul owns team, jacks up prices on the poor and fortunate.
I mean,
are you biased?
If you don't like capitalism, then you're probably in the wrong continent.
Just move away.
Otherwise, you can't really move away from it. But I'm just saying, this. People are making a big stink out of this one, and I'm like, to me, it's just, why this one? This happens all the time.
Bear, final thoughts?
I don't think it's an esports issue, but it's just scummy nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly.
My final thoughts comes down to teams. Basically, these teams are his hobby. And if you boycott it or you make a stink at the team specifically and kill the brand, you're only really hurting the players. This guy will indeed, like Tamir said, just buy another team or find another way or find another hobby and move on. But it's not going to hurt him in any way, shape, or form.
He'll just sell the team and buy a boat.
Yeah, that's it. He'll just it didn't work out. Oh, well, whatever.
Yeah.
you won't change his life. His life will not change because you boycotted his team. It's just not gonna happen.
It's not
You'll
going
get
to
a Heroes of
inspire
the Storm
change.
team.
Oh my god, you could buy Heroes of the Storm team. I hear those are popular now.
Or Overwatch team coming
Oh.
up.
Listen, he doesn't like he's why don't you just let his money put his money on fire? Same kind of investment.
Well,
Just
I
light
don't
it
know.
up.
Heroes of the Storm team. It's kind of like a trophy wife. Nice
No,
to have
that's
around. You
That's
bring it
the
places with you.
It's the Hearthstone team that's like that.
I don't know. Hearthstone gets viewers though, so
Oh,
there's
true,
a difference. There's a
true. I
difference.
can't. We can't deny the Hearthstone viewers. That's true. Final
Don't sell
thoughts.
Hearthstone.
I know. We were saying Hearthstone's viable. It has good
Yeah.
viewership. It didn't. Honestly, it's actually like it's good to watch. I like Hearthstone. I would watch it. I just wouldn't put my money in that sink. I feel like I could never in my life say to myself, "I'm gonna drop $100,000 or $100 on this game." Right? So-
It's not just
Don't
that.
put
It's
a
like, how do
penny
you
for a
wake up
game.
in the morning? You're like, you know what? By this time next year, I'm gonna be a professional Hearthstone player.
that happens. Obviously.
Does
Tamir, you're crushing my dreams. I'll
Well,
scratch that
man.
one off.
No, the answer is you need to be a Hearthstone player. You just buy more cards, right?
But that's
Isn't
what I'm
that
saying.
just
Like, what it doesn't. It's not like when you wake up in the morning, you're not like it's gonna take me a year. It's maybe like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna drop some money on some cards. Next week, I'm gonna be pro Hearthstone player.
Well, the same thing with like any card game, isn't it? I imagine it's the same.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Discussion for another day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go into. Sorry, we're at the final thoughts. So, final thoughts on Cineplex investing 15 million in esports. Thoughts, Tamir?
Honestly, I'm leery. This is not the dream. It's not some promise of glory. It's Cineplex testing the waters, and unfortunately, I agree with most people. Perhaps this with most of what we said here is that this won't be everything that we hoped it would be. It's just going to be Cineplex does some esports. It's not going to be like a huge reform in North American esports or draw some massive crowds or big gaming tournaments. But I'm hopeful. You know, I really do want to see it do well. I want to see them scoop up this small time organization, make something great out of it, and deliver something good to everybody here in Canada. I just don't know that that's going to happen.
This was the investor we needed, but not the investor we wanted.
Yeah.
Close.
Close. It's more like the investor we needed, the investor we wanted, not the plan of investment that
not
we
the
were
plan that we
hoping
did,
for.
not the plan we deserved.
Exactly. Yeah.
Bear, your thoughts, Cineplex?
It's so mixed. Like just seeing, like you were talking about with the infrastructure, it's great to see money being pumped in to the scene, provided it doesn't mean Minecraft and like birthday parties. But like we don't know, and that's what scares me is that a company that would willingly put the money is going to see it and go, "Oh, that didn't work out so well for Cineplex. We're not going to do it." So I'm just iffy if it doesn't pan out properly.
I do want to say though, one thing is they did buy, you know, an esports organization. WorldGaming doesn't do kid parties. They don't do Minecraft. They don't do any major titles like Dota, League of Legends, CS:GO, anything like that either. But you know what? You can't forget that this is who they bought. And even if they just bought them just so that they own a chunk of esports and so that they now employ people who know something about esports, you know what? Maybe that was worth 10 million to them, and maybe they can help shape the direction that Cineplex takes with it. That would be comforting to me.
Absolutely. So my final thoughts on Cineplex buying buying WorldGaming and pumping 15 million in the infrastructure. I think the best thing that comes out of this is not even the actual action of it, but the validity of it. It gets people like Bell, Rogers, Telus, to a lesser extent, to be like, wait a minute, there might be something to this. You on the phone over there, my secretary, please call up our banker and buy this esports thing for us, right? So, you know, I feel like this is the kind of thing where it gets people thinking, people who like other investors in Canada, specifically Canada, who are like, well, if it's good enough for Cineplex, it's good enough for me. You know, why? Maybe I should be on this esports thing. If Cineplex is first to jump into the water, no, I'm not gonna be the last one to this table. I'm getting into this, right? So,
I'd like to see the traffic to WorldGaming's website over the last few days, personally. Just putting that. I doubt it was worth 10 million, but I'm just saying, like,
well,
you know,
Guaranteed. It's but like every organization I think on this side of the planet has, news organization from Fortune to the New York Times have reported on this. So,
That's what I mean. Validating your point is exactly it. Like, it's put it on the map. So, nope.
To some extent, it put this point where people are like, who? Right? But to a lesser extent, a lot of people were actually praising, Cineplex. So like, good for you to diversify. Movies may not be around forever.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty much it on on the element of this. That's our last part. So guys, you know what we forgot to do? We forgot to get our guest to tell him where he is, but it's at Panic Switched. I believe the I in the switched is a 1. It was on the screen. Be sure to follow our guest for hopefully more information about how you can turn your stream into something.
He's in the chat. It's in the chat. You can find it there.
There, it's also in the chat. But if for you, those of you listening to iTunes and listening in your shower, there it is for you to know. Listen, I listen to podcasts.
How do you consume your podcasts?
I listen to my podcast in the shower. I do.
You want people talking to you while you're just like lathering yourself? I don't know.
No, they're not talking to you. You're just listening in. All right, you're more like a fly on the wall.
I thought the whole point of podcast was like people are like talking to you, like part of the conversation. You're just like,
yeah, absolutely, and you're taking a shower while it's happening, right? Sometimes,
but like you're naked. You don't want to be naked around strangers.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
I don't know. This is like it's like a whole new level of.
I don't care.
A whole new level of streaming without pants on, right? Like it's below the desk. Nobody knows. Like
nobody knows. Absolutely. Half the time.
Anyways, at Panic Switched instead of an I, it's a 1. Go follow him.
Absolutely. So where can they find you, Tamir?
It's at StrygWyrd. That's STRYGWYRD. I know that's convoluted. Sorry for all you podcasters.
Where can they find you, Sergeant Bear?
At the Sergeant Bear on Twitter, and yeah, that's where I'm at.
And you can find me at Draconis on pretty much everything. I have pretty much sticky fingers in every sort of social media. So at Draconis, DREKKOINS for Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all that good jazz. And we're here at ESChamp. You can follow ESChamp on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at ESChamp. Oh, and SoundCloud. ESChamp, ESCHAMP. Be sure to, if you guys don't, if you want, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff to keep up to it. We stream tournaments, events, as well as host this show every week. Be sure to check here now at its new time slot, 6 o'clock on Tuesdays. Following after us, will we have Face It, Tamir?
I don't think that there's any games up right now, but there will be some Dota things for sure. If there are Face It games up, then there will be Face It, but there's not currently.
So following after the show, you can expect some at least Dota. Well, Dota stuff should normally follow up after us, taking up our original time slot. But either or, stay tuned. If you're listening to this on a podcast, be sure to come on over to our site at eschamp.com to get a look at our schedule and know what's going on. So guys, once again, this has been an awesome episode of The Any Key. I love you all. You've been fantastic. Have a great night. Don't forget to spay and neuter your animals.